This afternoon's panel is focused on VCU and Richmond's response to the climate emergency. This takes place, as you know, while the Conference of Parties is being held in Glasgow, Scotland. This is the 26th time that representatives of the now 200 nations that have signed the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change have gathered together to discuss and formulate, hopefully, coordinated plans to address the climate emergency. As governments' representatives gather again to talk again about what they might do about greenhouse gas emissions, tens of thousands of citizens from all over the world are also converging on Glasgow to express their views on what needs to be done to put pressure on their governments to make real change. They join millions more citizens from around the world who are perfectly aware of the fact that serious government actions have been utterly lacking, as global carbon emissions have risen every year since 1992, when the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was initially adopted. One well-known climate justice activist summarized government efforts so far as follows, and I'm sure you've all heard this: blah, blah, blah. Citizens, on the other hand, are taking matters into their own hands to force governments to act and to construct an eco-friendly and socially just alternative to the current global system. System change, not climate change, is one of the banners under which millions are demonstrating. No small percentage of whom are young people, too young, in fact, to vote. If we do, I think, manage to create a healthy future for all, we almost certainly will look back on this time and say that Indigenous peoples and young people led the way. A beautiful green future for all is, I think, possible, and we are fortunate to have assembled with us today a panel of passionate advocates to educate and illuminate what VCU and Richmond are doing, what we all are doing, and what we all can do to address the climate emergency and make this reality, this future, a beautiful green future, a reality for all.
Thank you, Art. So my name is Albreht-Mallinger. I am an instructor for the Center for Environmental Studies here at VCU. I teach introductory courses for environmental studies, and my job is on paper is to take people who care about the environment, who fall in love with animals, who love to go hiking, and take their passion and make sure that it's informed by evidence, and connect them with various careers that let them speak to their passion and make the world a better place. I suspect that I was invited to this panel because what I do is take the core evidence that is at hand and make sure that everyone is working with the same set of definitions. Why is it that the 2021 IPCC report gets so much press coverage? A big part of it is because media is becoming better at actually talking about climate change and covering those events. But first, this particular version documents unequivocal evidence that climate change has already begun. It's not that we're waiting to rise in degrees Celsius, we're already climbing there. 2, it reports that changes in temperature and precipitation are predicted to be greater than any period in recorded human civilization. There have been periods that have been warm, that have been cool, that have been wet, that have been dry. And those have often been associated with the collapse of major civilizational groups. We have already shot over those things, like the little ice age that occurred in the Middle East, the Middle Ages, or the drought period that precipitated the late Bronze Age collapse. Third, it finds increased links between rising global temperature and the increases in the extreme and deadly extreme weather events. It has found ways to identify why an extreme storm is more likely to occur under our warmer climate scenario than we would if temperatures had not risen. This analysis indicates that we have already locked ourselves into over degrees Celsius of warming, and we are running out of time to keep us below the 1.5 threshold we have set as this is going to be something we can suffer through and tolerate. Every institution, big and small, governments, universities, including VCU, has to respond to the information in this report in the understanding that our window is collapsing, and with just a little bit of understanding about how climate change works, how we interpret its predictions, we should be able to act on it. That's it.